Hello everybody and welcome to Lisa Horton Crafts. Dawn with you here today as part of Lisa Horton Crafts design team. Thanks very much for joining me this afternoon. So let me just run through the products that I'm going to be using on this card today. So first off we have the nested scalloped and plain circles. I've said to you before, these are one of my staples in my craft stash, and I really think that, you know, if you haven't got them, really consider buying them, because they really are something you'll go back to again and again. Okay, so nested and plain circles. I'm also using the squiggled script sentiments. I've said to you before that I love these. I think they're one of the best ways of having some simple sentiments ready done. Run them through your die cutting machine a couple of times, once for the mat and once for the actual word, and you've just got a handful of sentiments ready to go. Brilliant set to have those. I'm also using the Essential Edges EDGECUTZ dies. I'm only using the one. I'm using this scalloped one at the bottom here. Now these are about 17 centimetres long, so about 7 inches, but my card is a bit bigger than that, so what you'll need to do is just extend them a little bit, but we'll go through that in a little while. I'm also using the Summer Blooms. I don't use these nearly enough. I think they're a fabulous set of dies and useful for really so many different occasions. Cutting them in different colours gives them totally different effects, and you'll see that by the fact that I'm using actually different colours today. So yeah, Summer Blooms I'm using, and I'm also using my very favourite large foliage die set, but again I'm only using this large leaf die here. I'm not using any of the others. Okay, so those are the things that I'm going to be using today. Now as you can see every element that I've just gone through today. Oh, the one thing I haven't said is that I'm also using the script stamp from the textures set, but I forgot to reach out the product card for that, so apologies for that. Right, let's get cracking. So first off, I cut a piece off my 8x8 card. Well, I say 8x8, it's actually 20 centimetres square. It's not quite 8 inches. And the piece that I've cut off is 1 3/4 inches. I really don't think it matters about the width of that strip that you cut off. It's really what you want it to be. 1 3/4 inches just seemed about the right measurement to me. Okay, so I've cut that off and I'll leave that to one side. And then inside I've cut a piece of grey card because I just wanted a bit of contrast, and that is 19 by 19 centimetres because I didn't want it to be I didn't want it to fill the back of the card. So in there I'm just going to put one of my scalloped circles, and that's where I would write my sentiment. I'm going to do that first and get that out of the way because I don't want to do it last and risk my flowers falling off the front. So I'm just going to pop that in there before we go any further. And I'm only eyeballing it. It's round about in the middle. I don't mind if it's, you know, a little bit off centre, but it's not too bad, I don't think. So then the piece that goes on the front, this piece here, again I've cut a square 19 by 19 so that it's exactly the same size as the grey. And then what I've done, I've used the EDGECUTZ die and I've placed it on my card. Put that the right way around at the top. Now obviously this is 19 by 19, and I've said to you that the actual die is 17 centimetres long, so it's not quite long enough. So all I've done with this piece of card is place the die on here and run it through my machine. It comes to about here. So I've got my die here, that way up, okay, and that's going to cut my first piece of card, and you can see it only comes to about here. So all I'm then going to do is line this up, and you'll feel that the actual die will sit in the groove of what you've already cut, so you know it's in the right place. And then just tape it down and just run that last little bit through your die cutting machine. And to make sure that I've got it in the right place, I'm going to line it up with my grey and then I'm going to put my glue on here. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. Just going to go down here, and then I'm just going to go along the top so that I know that when I put my card, close my card, this is going to be in the right position, because I want it to sit on top of that grey, like that. So that now when you open it, it looks exactly the same as the grey. There's the same amount of matting and layering, and it all sort of fits together. It all looks uniform. Okay, so my background. I'm going to use one of Lisa's Slimline background stencils, and this is Altered Diamonds. I love this. It's these little like coffee stain marks on it. I just love the effect that it gives. Just pop my lid on my glue so as it doesn't dry up. Now yesterday obviously I was using greens, and today I'm using purples. It is my favourite colour, and I try so hard not to use purple all the time, because I think it can just get a bit monotonous, so I have to force myself to use different colours. So I'm just going to tape this down on the one side. I'm not going to tape it down all over because I really don't think I need it. And I'm just going to brush, I'm using Lisa's Wonder Brushes, and I'm just going to brush inside my stencil. Not too heavy. I just want it as a little bit of interest at the back of my writing. So when I put my script stamp on the top, it will sort of, this will fade into the background. And I do love this colour. This is Wilted Violet, and this is an oxide ink. And I always use oxides when I'm using stencils and sort of blending, because I do think the oxides blend much better than the ordinary inks. So I'm going to leave that at that and pop that off. See, now that is it's quite bright, and it's quite sort of I suppose in your face a little bit, but when I stamp my script on here, it will just fade into the background a little bit. So I'm just going to randomly place this. I want this to sort of stick out a little bit. I don't want it uniform all the way down. I don't mind if it doesn't all show. It's just a little bit of interest in the background, so it doesn't really matter if I miss little bits or... Right, I'll just put that piece of card back in there, because I don't want it to overshoot on my purple card. Just pop that down there. So that's my inking and my stamping all done. Okay, let's put those to one side. Okay, now I can get rid of my excess piece of card again. Now I'm just going to add all my elements to my card. So I've used, as I said, the nested and scalloped circles. I've cut the main back circle in the same purple as I've used on the card, and then I've used a contrasting colour as my inner circle, like I did on the green one yesterday. So I've used two different shades of green. So let's put those down first, after I've just put my little bit of actually I'm going to put the leaves down first rather than the circles, thinking about it. So I'm just going to pop this down, just make sure that my circle is going to, so that I can see my ribbon, raffia, whatever you want to call it, in the background. I only want to see little bits of it like I did on the original, so I want to make sure that it's in the right place. Now these leaves I have cut out of a patterned parchment paper, just some that I had in my stash that I've had for absolutely ages and just never got round to using. Haven't shaped them in any way, I haven't drawn on them, I've just die cut them in my die cutting machine in parchment. Now all I would say is parchment, vellum, same sort of thing. Be careful when you take them out of the die, because the vellum and the parchment is quite thin. Sometimes it will get stuck in the die. That's not a problem with the die, it's the problem with the parchment or the vellum, because it is really thin. So if you've got sort of a little, I use this, and whether you can see that's really, really fine on there, and I just slip that into the die at the back and just lift this out gently, and it works a treat. So there are ways around it. Okay, so I want my leaves up the top here. I think what I'm going to do is actually split this down. Oops, split this down a little bit, because otherwise it's going to be too big. I don't want it really to overhang the top of the card, because when you put it in your envelope, I don't want it to be, I don't want the vellum to sort of bend over, because it's very unforgiving, and once it's bent then it's not going to bend back. I might not use those actually. And then the same at the bottom, but with the bottom one I think what I might do is just leave all of the leaves, so that there's more at the bottom than there is at the top. But I could always go back with those and add an extra one in, which I think I will. So I don't need them all, just need that extra one there. That's okay, isn't it? So I want the purple of the squiggle to overhang the purple on the lip here, just so that that's just my preference, that's just how I want it to look. So I'll go there like that. And then using my shabby florals, I've already made my flowers, because I've used my Pinflair 3D glue gel, which I love, and I wanted them to be properly set. So I'll pop those there. Now I'm going to put them down with the 3D glue gel, purely and simply because I've shaped them. The bookbinding glue might not stick them properly, so I thought if I use the 3D glue gel, I know that once I've pressed them down a little bit, it will adhere them to the card properly, and they won't fall off. So that's that. So I'll put the big one down first, and you'll notice that I've also cut the little parts of the shabby florals that look like fireworks. I've cut some of those in the parchment as well, just to give it a little bit more different look really, rather than them look totally the same. So I've put some in there as well, and I just think it gives it a really nice effect. So then, last but not least, I'm just going to put some little gems in the middle of here. I have used the centres that come with the shabby florals on the actual flowers, but you know me, I always like to add some sparkle, some gems or some pearls or something onto my cards, because I just think it looks pretty. Okay, and then just so that this stark white bit here doesn't look quite so stark and white, I'm just going to add 5 of the teeny tiny flat back gems, and these are so sparkly in real life. I'm sure you probably can't see it on there, but they've got such a sparkle, and that's that AB finish that that Lisa's got on all her pearls and gems. And I just think they look absolutely fabulous, because the sparkle they sort of give off just lifts your card a little bit. My opinion, obviously, but I like them. I know Tina likes them as well. So, there we go. Told you it was quick and easy, but there is quite a bit of preparation beforehand. But once you've done all that prep, then obviously putting it together isn't going to take you any time at all. And I do think that the stencil in the background with that little bit of script just adds enough of an interest to the card to make it look really, really pretty. And I think when you look at the two in different colours, I mean, they look the same, but they look so different. And this parchment leaves, I just think it just makes something a little bit different, don't you think? So have a nice weekend, everybody. Thanks ever so much for joining me, and take care of yourselves. Bye for now.